Okay, welcome to the National Support Session for Assignment 2 for the module 5122W. This is the PSYC 1B, and it's the second assignment that you guys have that's due on the 7th of June. Please just remember that the cutoff time is 9 o'clock, so please make sure you submit your assignments well before 9 o'clock to be on the safe side. Okay, so the questions. Question 1 is discuss one physical symptom and one cognitive symptom that one could expect someone with diagnosed with depression to experience. Furthermore, and this is the important point, within your answers mention an example of how each symptom would affect everyday functioning in areas such as school and work. So there's two parts to this question. One is to discuss the physical symptom. And the second part is to give an example for each of those symptoms. So it's a physical symptom of depression and a cognitive symptom. And for the physical symptom, discuss it and then give me an example of how it could affect school or work life, and the same with the cognitive symptom. So that question's out of 10 marks. The rubric there is below for you. So you can see that it's 5 marks for the physical symptom, 5 marks for the cognitive symptom, and it is marks for the examples as well. So please make sure you include the examples in there. Very important. 10 marks in total, 5 marks for each of those symptoms. So that's a very straightforward question. The second part of the question 1.2, is to discuss any 3 cognitive explanations for major depressive disorder. So remember, there's more than just the cognitive explanation. There are social explanations and learning explanations and biological, but they want specifically the cognitive explanation. So make sure you focus in on the cognitive. And this question in total is for 40 marks. So 30 marks of it is around the discussion of the 3 cognitive explanations. Doesn't matter if you use subheadings within your discussion, just to make it nice and clear. But please make sure you pay attention. There's 10 marks here for referencing at least 2 credible journal articles no older than 10 years. So when you are searching for your articles, please remember that we're in 2022, so that means that journal articles can't be older than 2012. So please make sure the articles you select to actually include in your discussion are no older than 10 years, and please make sure they are credible journal articles. I think you understand what credible journal articles are. It's not a website, it's not a book. It actually means you've got to use your EBSCOhost and go and find at least 2 credible journal articles. So there's 30 marks for the actual discussion. So it's asking for 3 cognitive explanations. So it'll be for 10 marks for each of those. And that's how I'll look at it. Have you done 3? And is there enough discussion for each of them to give you 10 marks for each? And that there's marks for the articles you choose. So as long as you choose an article that's credible and not older than 2 years, there's 5 marks for each of those articles. So please make sure you focus in on those and select your right articles. If you've got any problems, you can just ask me and I will just confirm with you if you've got the right articles or not. Question 2. Okay, question 2 focuses in on the perspective, the humanistic perspective in treating psychological disorders. So the first part of that question is for 3 key principles underlying the perspective. That doesn't mean how the therapist treats the disorder from a humanistic perspective. It's asking for the principles that underlie the perspective. Okay, it's asking you for 3 of them. So 3 principles, 15 marks. That's about 5 marks per principle. So make sure the second question is to do actually with the process of therapy, but this is specifically asking you for the principles that underlie the perspective. Okay, so 3 key principles, 5 marks each, will be 15 marks. And the final question in your assignment is discuss the role of the therapist. So discuss the role the therapist would play in working with a client from the humanistic perspective. So how would the therapist work with the client? What would the therapist do? What is the approach of the therapist? It's not the perspectives that underlie it, but it's the actual processes, the roles that the therapist would use when they're actually treating a client. It's looking for 4 points. So that part of the question is for 20 marks. So if you've got 4 separate points, each point would be worth 5 marks. But the most important part here, again, is it's asking you to use 2 credible journal articles no older than 10 years. So the same as the question before that, you need to be very careful about the journal articles that you select. And this is an essay question, and I put the rubrics underneath so you can see how the marking is broken down. When we say an essay question, an essay format, it means there's got to be a clear introduction and a clear conclusion. Don't repeat yourself in the introduction and conclusion, make them different, that it's written nicely in paragraphs with good spacing, grammar, and spelling. Very important. You've got marks for that. So it's easy when you break it down. 4 points on how the therapist would treat the client. A person-centered perspective is how humanism works. 5 marks for one article, 5 marks for the second article, and 5 marks for that your essay being structured correctly and appropriately. So it's not a difficult assignment, but the trick for this assignment is to make sure that you choose the correct articles for both of those questions that require them, and they mustn't be older than 10 years. So if you've got a problem, pop me an email. I'm available between now and when the assignment is due, and I will respond to you. So good luck, and I hope it goes well. Remember, the 7th of June, no later than 9 o'clock. Have a good evening.